why don't you talk a little bit about the
Yeah,
research and what
I'd
you're
love
doing?
to.
Because you guys are talk about what you're doing.
Yeah, I'd love to. So the research began because Sophie needed another, as I mentioned earlier, brain tumor surgery last year on April 23rd. And you'll hear me say 23 a lot, and it's the number that follows our story very intently. So last year, we had to do a debulking, what's called a debulking on her tumor. And it was this opportunity that I had where I knew I would have access to live tissue. And I knew it was probably and hopefully, because I don't want her to go through any more brain tumor surgeries, my one and only shot to get clinical trials done on my child individually. So I started looking everywhere for people who do what's called, or laboratories that do what's called PDX, or patient-derived xenograft,
Okay.
where they're taking cells from a patient, implanting them into animals, and then from there doing targeted therapy on the animals to see what protocols can work for those individual cells from that patient. So through another chain of events that started with Sophie's water bottle falling out of her backpack, I connected with my girlfriend, Nurse Kara Lansford, who owns a company called Holly Blue. She's does a lot in the nursing community. And she told me about Dr. Jewett and how Dr. Jewett had been doing all this research in NK cells and cancer. And she had mouse studies going on at her lab, and maybe she could help me.
Wow.
And she was just right down the street. So I texted Dr. Jewett. Within 5 minutes, she texted me back. And by 2:30 p.m. that afternoon,
Wow.
23, I was sitting in her office and she was agreeing to help me with Sophie for free. And not only help me with Sophie by putting her tumor into mice, but by putting them into what's called humanized mice. And these are mice that go through
Yes.
a special protocol that UCLA developed with Dr. Jewett was part of that team. And they become humanized. They have immune systems that match that of human beings almost identically, and the blood-brain barrier is the same. So then Dr. Jewett started looking at Sophie's blood, and that's when things really got crazy, because what Dr. Jewett has discovered in her 30 years of research, she's been published over 150 times to the top medical journals in the world on these findings, and she actually discovered the field of natural killer cells. And what she has found is that it is natural killer cells and the failure of that system that is the first step in us getting cancer, because it's our number one defense mechanism against it. So she's created a protocol called supercharged natural killer cells that are in human trials in Beijing, China, and in patient zero, she eradicated non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in 14 days with no side effects.
Wow.
A year and a half later, the guy's still cancer-free. My point being, Sophie's NK cells should not have been functioning well at all. They should have been very broken. She also is a child who should have had an immature immune system, and she's been on chemotherapy for 6 years, so her immune system should have been very taxed. However, Sophie's immune system was functioning 5